Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut FLEXectations. I'm here every Thursday, 4:30 PM, to talk about the boxing action to come over the weekend. And we've got perhaps the biggest show of the weekend takes place in the US. Devin Haney, WBC lightweight champion, makes his latest defense against former 3-division world champion Jorge Linares from Venezuela. El Nino del Oro, the golden boy, not perhaps as famous as the other golden boy who keeps flirting with coming out of retirement, but will certainly closer to his prime, I think it's fair to say. Albeit he is 35 to Haney's 22, so a 13-year age gap between them. You kind of know what you get with Linares by this point. He's a veteran, 3-division world champion, very, very talented, fast hands, good footwork, nice variety of punch. Powerful, explosive, not really a one-punch knockout artist, but explosive combinations. Tough, has got off the deck to win, been cut in victorious fights, but all 5 of his defeats have come inside schedule. And I think that's the way with Linares. He is vulnerable. He's very, very talented, but he may not be considered one of the best fighters of his generation, despite the 3 world titles, predominantly because that vulnerability. He can go out there and beat another world-class performer on his day, but he can also slip up against someone who's not really ability-wise in his league. We saw him take that ill-fated trip up to 140 pounds not that long ago against Pablo Cesar Cano. Got drubbed there, I think it's fair to say, and has had 2 kind of easing back fights since. Looked impressive in doing so, but not particularly great opposition, certainly not at Haney's level. And also, he hasn't fought since February 2020, so over a year out of the ring, whereas Haney was last out with a perfunctory decision victory over Yuriorkis Gamboa, another veteran, former world champion. He did that in November, I believe, so just 6 months ago. So he'll be a bit less ring rust on Haney than Linares. Haney's very athletic, he's busy, he's fit. Very, very talented defensively and offensively. Perhaps lacks a real concussive punch at 135, certainly at the moment. Maybe he's still getting his man strength. He is only 22. But a good fighter and a very confident, determined fighter. He's got the right attitude, diligent trainer. Head coach, his father, of course, Bill Haney. We should make that clear, although Devin himself made that clear when I spoke to him last week. The interview's up on the channel. Obviously, pictures were circulated of him working with Ben Davison. I believe Ben is helping out a little bit in camp. Haney said they're friends, and he wanted to do some stuff in camp with him, long-time friends, which is fine, of course. But I believe Davison's still out there in Las Vegas with him after Josh Taylor's brilliant victory last week. He stayed out to work with the Haney team. So yeah, Haney said in Matchroom press release he's expecting a firefight with Linares. I'm not quite sure that's true, albeit this is a step up for Haney. Linares is his acid test on paper, the best guy he has fought so far as a pro. But it's just one of those things where styles and timing coincide to make it a bit of a nightmare for the ultra-talented veteran. Timing-wise, Haney's a lot younger, fresher, far less miles on the clock, been in the ring more recently, building up a bit of momentum, wants to really, sell himself as a lightweight champion in comparison to Teofimo Lopez, who's fighting not long after against George Kambosos Jr. Got all the major belts apart from the WBC at 135 pounds. So just great timing for Haney to go out and make a statement, and he seems determined to do so. Whereas for Linares, he's already late in his career. He's been stopped quite a few times. He's been in some wars as well. He's not always been stopped early in his defeats, and even some of his victories have been quite grueling. And he's had a huge, I think maybe even double the number of fights as Haney. I'd have to double check that, but certainly not far off. And hasn't been in the ring, as I've said, for over a year. And style-wise, Linares, as I've said, very explosive, good jab, likes to fight in bursts. Haney perhaps a little bit more consistent, albeit maybe not quite as explosive. So he'll keep that jab popping out. His movement's good, laterally, fast, slick on the defense as well. And I think Linares will be forced to kind of chase him down a little bit, which isn't really the best approach for El Nino de Oro. So I think Haney will find it relatively easy to land his counters and move away, particularly in the early going when his legs are still strong. And then I could see Linares perhaps coming into it more down the stretch, but I could also see Haney dropping Linares. I don't think he'll stop him. I don't think he's quite a ruthless enough finisher to get him out of there. I think it goes to points, and I think it's a fairly comfortable victory on the scorecards for Devin Haney. Certainly, that's my view. Before that, though, we've got... Actually, I should mention the undercard as well. Nearly forgot. Martin Ward will kill me. Martin J. Ward is in an IBF final eliminator at super featherweight against the talented South African Azinga Fuzile. I think I just got that wrong, haven't I? Azinga Fuzile. It's close enough. Both very talented, both slick operators. Could be a bit of a war of nerves, if you like. Both waiting for the other to lead and then counter. Bit of a chess match, just to throw out all the boxing cliches when two technicians go at it. But I would hope and expect Martin J. Ward. I've seen him training. I've seen him sparring for this camp. Very good friend of the channel. I expect him to come through that and then challenge for the IBF title, hopefully before the end of this year. So good luck to him and anyone else on the undercard. But yeah, so moving on, Friday night, we see the second show on Fight Zone TV from Dennis Hobson Promotions. They launched last week, got really good feedback on social media. Quality main event there between Myron Mills and Lucas Ballingall. Won narrowly by Mills, who retained his English title. And this week, heavyweights take centre stage with Cash Ali, still, unfortunately for him, most infamous for that bite against David Price that got him disqualified in his biggest fight to date. He's had a couple of, I think 3 maybe good wins since, or decent wins since. He's fighting Thomas Salek for the IBF European title, I believe it is, or it might be international. I get confused with all these belts, I'm sure a lot of people do. But it's a match that if he wins, and it looks winnable looking at Salek's record, he's lost to Pavel Sauer, for example, will get Cash a world ranking. And it should be an entertaining heavyweight fight to top that show. Mark Jeffers also on there. Definitely worth watching him. He's on the undercard. But the big news from our point of view is that we'll be broadcasting for free on YouTube the first 3 fights. So the first couple of hours of the show, 5:30 till 7:30, right here on SecondsOut, youtube.com/boxing, if you can't remember the name of the channel. Yeah, live streaming from 5:30 p.m. tomorrow night, Friday night, in conjunction with Dennis Hobson Promotions. This may be an ongoing partnership, but as of right now, we know we're doing Friday's show. We'll have the weigh-in up probably by the time you watch this, so that should whet your appetite. And then you can watch the first 3 fights, we believe, at the moment on SecondsOut, and then you can switch over at 7:30 and watch the rest, including the main event, on Fight Zone TV on the app. $4.99 a month, boxing every Friday. And quality domestic action, and I think they're in talks. We did an interview not long ago with Dennis Hobson. I think they're in talks to get some stuff from America and from Mexico and various other parts of the world as well. So yeah, I recommend it highly, not just because we're partnering with them this week, but because for $4.99 a month, I know everyone says, well, the zone's only $1.99. Sure, but it's not going to stay $1.99, particularly when Eddie Hearn's Matchroom UK stable move across. For $4.99 a month, boxing every single week, I think it's pretty good value. But that's my sales pitch, over and done with. Let me know what you think about Haney Linares. How do you see it going? Is it, if Haney wins, the best victory on his record? And what would you like to see happen next? Would you like to see Lopez, who's talked about fighting Josh Taylor up at 140, would you like to see Lopez against Haney? Let me know in the comments, and I will come back to some of them. I'll be back on Monday for Reflections, 4:30. And the following week, next week, Thursday, FLEXectations, same time. Really appreciate it, and I will see you all soon. Cheers.